Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Unfound Podcast Channel on YouTube. I am, of course, Unfound's host, Ed. I hope everybody is having a spectacular day, and I just want everybody to know that I am recording this video for David Kallenberger's disappearance on July 31st of 2024. In anticipation of it coming out to you, the public, on August 2nd of 2024. Before I go any further, please like this video, share it. Please watch it as many times as you think you need to make sure you understand all the facts that are presented. So what you're seeing here in the middle of the screen, that little red dot, is... Of course, that's not exactly where David disappeared. He actually went missing from the highway right there, that I-65. And I'm going to zoom this out just to show you where this area is in the state of Indiana. You'll see here quickly up there in the northwest of that red dot is Franklin, Indiana. Then as we continue to zoom out and out, you might recognize Greenwood, Indiana. That's where Lola Catherine Fry went missing in the Indianapolis area. And then Lafayette, you can now see Lafayette. That is where David started his trip, from Lafayette, right there. And seemingly his plan was ride the whole way to Florida. That is quite a ride, no matter if you're in a car, motorcycle, 18-wheeler, limousine. It's not a short trip, but that was allegedly his plan, and I think we have to believe that. Being that he's called his sister Kim for help, makes all the sense in the world. That was his intention, to go to Florida that day, maybe not get there that day, but that is where he was headed. So he made it this far into his trip, once again, from north of Indianapolis to south of Indianapolis on this route I-65. And somewhere in here, like I said, the red dot here is not where he broke down. He was out here on the highway, but this location here is one of the places where David was seen, where he went to help. I don't know actually which one of these places on either side of this highway is where he used the phone. I'm not sure, but this is the area. And how I found that is I do know the name of one of the people who was interviewed by police, and looked it up on one of the databases I used, and this is that person's property right there. So somehow something went on. David's coming down here from the northwest, gets into this area, and something happens, and his bike ends up on the side of the road. Not just on the side of the road, but kind of down the embankment. And I'm going to show that to you right now, as long as the computer lets me do so. Once again, when I'm doing the maps this way, using StreamYard to record, the computer is bogged down a little bit. So this is approximately the area where David broke down. He would have been in this stretch of area. And if we want to see what that looked like back around 2016, here's what it looked like in 2015. And so bike was down in this grass area somewhere along here. And the trooper and the tow truck driver came along and helped him get the bike back up to, of course, what we call the berm. Right here, if you flat tire, something goes wrong with your car, you can pull off right here. Now, it does seem at the time they were doing some construction, so there might not have been a berm in this picture. But if I show you a later picture, maybe from 2018, you'll see there's the berm. They were doing some construction in 2015. There we go. This is November of 2018. So this is the area and somehow his bike got put back up onto the berm. He refused help from the trooper and the tow truck driver. And this is also the area where a Good Samaritan stopped, tried to help David. This came out in the second phone call that he made where he left a message. That's the one where he talked, or at least while he was out on the road, the second phone call that he made from the road, and left a message that Kim did not get until several days later due to a phone issue. So this is where he was. And as you can see, there are houses right there. There are houses, property, private property on each side of the road. And so allow me to go back up to satellite view. So once again, we're in this right here. You can see plenty of places. In fact, Nancy Curlin Barnett grave. I don't know what that is. Do they do tombstones or something there? I don't know. But we got Dr. Detail over here. We got Drake Trailers of Edinburgh. Not only do we have private residences, but we have businesses. We have, I guess, this little town called Amity, in contrast to Amityville, I guess, from Amityville Horror. This is the area, and of course, and you'll see here, though, we also have this body of water, and it's called Sugar Creek. And we do have some trees. And so this is the area. Not a lot of forests around, no large river around. And of course, as you kind of got maybe the feeling from Kim in the interview, she, of course, does not believe that David walked away. It certainly might be that he got picked up by somebody, maybe even his wife. But for us, the public, it helps if we're a little more open-minded and looking at the possibilities, looking at the facts, and assessing them for ourselves. So we have to at least think about the idea with something going on here where David really did walk off, maybe like Jason Landry, if you want to make a comparison. What you also heard from Kim was that he was on both sides of the road during this time that he was out there. And unfortunately, though, I do not have the location of exactly where his helmet was found or this rain gear was found, but they were not in the same location. In fact, one might have been left on one side of the highway, another left on the other side of the highway. Now, I will say regarding all of this, it's not the smartest choice to be going back and forth across a highway, dodging cars. I think we know that. Or maybe, however, that might have been safer if he was going down into these little neighborhoods there. That's probably safer than standing out there on the highway where some car, all it takes is a car to swerve a couple feet and the bike and he would get hit and he would probably have gotten killed if something like that. But that obviously did not happen. So this is the area. Of course, what's in my mind, what's hard to understand is why didn't just hang out at one of these places? Obviously he talked to at least a couple of these landowners, these homeowners. It seems, I mean, one of them even allowed him to use the phone, come inside. He couldn't just like hang out outside. Maybe he was afraid his bike might get stolen or something. I just don't know. And then there's the issue of the bike itself. And I should mention, and this is where I kind of had to tap into a little bit of the friends in my life. I have a friend of mine. His name is Mike. I have known him since high school, so like 35 years plus. And he has been a motorcycle rider, I think, since he turned 16. And he's a mechanical engineer. And so he's taken apart motorcycles, put them back together, engines, etc. His whole entire family is very much into motorcycles, his parents included. And so he knows a lot about motorcycles. And I did ask him, because he knows way more about motorcycles than I do, would it be possible for someone, a mechanic, somebody working on David's bike, to make it out to what we might call sabotage it? And Mike gave me the answer that I guess I was just expecting, just using my general knowledge of machines, I guess. And what Mike had to say is absolutely, of course, a mechanic could sabotage a motorcycle in that the bike would break down right down the street. You don't, for example, you take all the oil out of the engine, a mile or two down the road, the engine's going to blow up, of course. But when we start talking about sabotaging a bike in that it wouldn't break down and being timed to not break until an hour from now, an hour and a half from now, or 2 hours from now, or 100 miles from home, or whatever you want to put it in hours or mileage, that is much, much more difficult. I'm not saying it can't be done. You certainly could, I guess, plan for some part to break down somewhere down the road. In fact, we have this saying in engineering, planned obsolescence. But to really be able to predict that, let's say Biker Bill did something to David's motorcycle for whatever reason, the bill could have made it that the bike would break down still in the state of Indiana, so that it might be somewhat convenient for Bill or Valerie to go then pick up David and then kill him. Mike thought that was quite a bit of a stretch. Certainly you can plan these things, but they could have never planned when it would happen. It could have happened in, I don't know what state you have to go through from Indiana to get to Florida, but let's say Tennessee or Georgia, it might not have even happened till then. You just do not have the ability to time out something like that. And then, of course, we get to the point where he breaks down 15 hours from home. Is he really going to, in the end, is David really going to expect Valerie to come get him if, he's 15 hours away and he's leaving her? It's hard to imagine. So the idea that Biker Bill could have sabotaged this motorcycle for it to break down in a convenient area somewhere, 100 miles into the trip or something, in my friend Mike's belief, his opinion, and dare I say an expert opinion, this seems very, very unlikely. Not impossible, of course, but very, very unlikely. In addition, in talking to Mike, I had a hard time maybe understanding how the bike ended up off the road for any sort of mechanical issue. It would seem more likely that if a clutch or something, a chain or whatever drives the rear wheel on this motorcycle went bad, that David would have been able to coast the bike to the side of the road. Instead, he ended up down over this little bank there. That almost looks like he was avoiding something, but that's not what he said. So, and to show you that again, let's go to the street view one more time. He was down in this area, once again, not in the specific area, but somewhere along here. And it is a little steep, certainly, and you can certainly understand he not being able to get the bike up to the berm by himself. Mike and I talked about that as well. And Mike said that would not be surprising if the person, big bike like that, and if the guy has a knee injury like he did and everything, probably would need help getting the bike back up the pavement. But what caused him to go over there in the first place? And although we came up with some ideas, Mike came up with some ideas. The way Mike explained it to me, this sounds fairly rare. If something mechanically goes wrong with a bike that then causes the bike to go way off the road and down into this little embankment, unless like the steering or something went out. But that's not what David said. In fact, David never really said anything about what exactly happened. So these are all things to consider, and that is what my motorcycle expert friend had to say about motorcycle accidents and things that can go wrong with motorcycles and how you might sabotage them. But sabotaging them to break down 100 miles into a journey, that is very, very difficult. Whereas it's very difficult to have a vehicle breakdown going right down the street, like 1 mile down the road. So there you go. That is the location for the disappearance of David Kallenberger. Of course, maybe he got picked up here. But it should be noted, really no searches have been done in this area since he went missing. So that's also something to think about. So that's it. Once again, thank you for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please share it and watch it again and again to make sure you got all the information from it. Until next time, see ya.